Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a secret, a 400-year-old secret, actually, that's been the hidden engine behind pretty much all art.
So let me ask you, who really decides what art is? You probably picture, a lone genius in a studio, right? Well, the real story is way more surprising. And honestly, it has a lot more to do with business than you'd ever expect.
Okay, so for most of history, it was pretty simple. Art was funded by the powerful. We're talking kings, the clergy, and so the art was all about them. Religious icons, grand royal portraits, historic battles. But then something happened. About 400 years ago, this massive shift started. A whole new world of, let's call them economic patrons, popped up, and they wanted to see their own lives reflected in art. So let's trace that revolution from way back then all the way to today.
All right, first stop on our journey, the 17th century. And what's wild is that in two totally different parts of the world, a new economic class was about to come along and just change art forever.
Now, what's so fascinating here is the parallel. It's almost unbelievable. You've got Edo-Japan and the Dutch Republic, worlds apart, but the same thing is happening. Agricultural surpluses mean a new merchant class pops up. And what do? They create their own distribution systems, wholesalers in Japan, art dealers in Europe, and they completely bypass the traditional rulers. They cut them out. And the big question is, what did they want to buy? Not grand battles. Nope. They wanted art that reflected their lives, the beauty of everyday objects, the stuff they owned and traded. This was a total game changer. I mean, a seismic shift from art for power to art for personal pleasure.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit to the Industrial Revolution. This is where things really start to scale up. Because technology didn't just create new products, it created a whole new mass market for beauty itself.
You can think of it like a chain reaction. A really powerful one. First, you get new tech, right? Steam power, electricity. That leads to mass production. And with all this stuff being made, you need a place to sell it. Enter the department store. And this is where it gets cool. For the very first time, you have artistic movements like Art Nouveau and Art Deco using industrial methods to bring amazing design. We're talking lamps, furniture, jewelry to a middle-class audience. Suddenly, art wasn't just for the palace anymore. Now it was for your living room.
All right, jump ahead again to the 1960s. Post-war consumer culture is absolutely booming. Supermarkets are just overflowing with products. Magazines are bursting with ads. And artists? Well, they looked at all this and decided not just to reflect this new world, but to use it as their actual canvas.
And this, of course, gives us pop art. It didn't just flirt with the images of this new world, it embraced them completely. It was fueled by new industrial materials, think plastics and acrylics, and it found its subjects everywhere, in advertising, in comic books, in the mass-produced goods that were now a part of pretty much everyone's daily life.
And nobody took this further than Andy Warhol. I mean, he took it to its absolute logical conclusion. He didn't just paint soup cans. He famously called his studio the factory. Think about that. He was using industrial silkscreen methods to literally churn out his work, completely and intentionally erasing the line between a one-of-a-kind masterpiece and a mass-produced product.
And it wasn't just him, of course. You had artists like Roy Lichtenstein, who would painstakingly, meticulously paint the Ben-Day dots you see in commercial printing. And Claus Oldenburg, who made these giant, incredible plastic sculptures of everyday things like hot dogs. The point was to blur the boundaries so completely that you couldn't tell the difference anymore. Art and commodity, they became one and the same.
Which, you guessed it, brings us right up to today. Now the revolution isn't in a factory, it's digital. And it's freeing art from the physical world entirely.
Think about it. The internet, NFTs, the metaverse, they've created a whole new direct-to-consumer model for art. Just look at the shift. The old gatekeepers, galleries, critics, auction houses, they're being bypassed by platforms and online communities. Instead of just a one-time sale, artists can get royalties automatically, forever, through smart contracts. And the art itself, it's not even a physical thing anymore. It's just digital data. This is the exact same pattern we saw with those 17th century merchants, right? Using a new system to bypass the old gatekeepers.
Okay, so we've just covered 400 years. Let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? When you look at this whole journey, you start to see three major patterns emerging.
First, it's super clear that the story of art is really a story of its patrons, who's paying for it. We've gone from kings to merchants and now to communities and even algorithms. Second, innovation is always linked. A new material leads to a new way of distributing the art, which in turn creates a whole new audience of consumers. And third, and this might be the most important one, it's all been a steady march toward the democratization of expression. We've moved from art being about the powerful to art being about the individual's imagination.
And this really just sums up the whole journey perfectly. In the 17th century, art was about possession. You owned a unique thing to show your status. Then in the 19th century, it was about decoration for your home. By the 1960s, it had become a commodity, no different from a box of cereal. And today? Well, today it's pure, unadulterated data.
So what this historical pattern shows us, time and time again, is that our tools and our economies always shape our art. There's no escaping it, which leaves us with a final and pretty fascinating question to chew on. As we step into an age where AI can create art and algorithms can decide what we see, what do you think the next great art revolution is going to look like?